Welcome everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to do some basic morphological analysis to help you begin to understand what we mean by morphosyntactic analysis when you learn about this in your linguistics courses. So on your screen you can see I have a bit of data. This data comes from the language Telugu, and this data was originally found in Thomas Paine's 2006 book Exploring Language Structure, a Student's Guide. I just want to talk a little bit about this data before we actually do the morphological analysis. So there's some elements here that you'll need to be aware of. So for example, if you can follow my pointer here, all language data sets will tell you the name of the language that you're working on. Here it's up here, Telugu. Okay, and then they'll also include data from that language and translations into an analysis language such as English. So what we have here in this first column are all Telugu words, and then over here in the second column, English translations. The same thing happens in the third column. These are all Telugu also, and then also English translations. Typically when you see these in a book, the actual data from the language you're working on, these will be in italics. So they're set apart a little bit from the text of the translation, and the translations are always put between these single quotes so that you can easily identify them. Then for every problem set you'll find in an introductory textbook anyway, there'll be questions that you need to answer. So in this one there are 3 questions. Where is Telugu spoken? Describe the rule that allows speakers to express the plural of a noun in Telugu. And what are the Telugu translations of the following English words likely to be? And then it gives you 4 English words, and you have to write how to translate them in Telugu. Now, the first important thing you need to remember about doing this kind of analysis is that you don't need to actually speak any language in order to analyze it. It's just like solving a puzzle or a logical reasoning exercise. You don't have to speak the language in order to analyze it. And the second thing you need to remember is the data presented here in the first column and in the third column that come from the language are complete and sufficient. So you don't need to go look for more data. You don't have to include any other information you might have about the language. We'll just assume for every problem set that we do that the data presented to us is all that we need in order to answer the questions. Okay. So let's get started. So you can see that the very first question is, where is Telugu spoken? I'm not going to go look for that one. You can look it up. Just do a Google search by putting Telugu in the search line, and you'll find out where it's spoken. It's spoken in India, but you can find out more about it and how many speakers there are and stuff. Okay, so then we go to the next rule here, which says describe the rule that allows, or the next question, sorry, describe the rule that allows speakers to express the plural of a noun in Telugu. So to do this, we kind of have to look for what Charles Hockett, a very famous linguist, once called recurrent partials, or what other linguists might call static meaning form function meanings, right? So if you look here at pila, the word for child, right? This word means child, so that is one form, and it means child. Then we look down at the next word, pilalu, which means children. We can see the same form in there, right? Pila is the same form as above in child. So there is the same elements in both, right? The only new thing is this lu part. Okay, so what we assume when we do morphological analysis is that the parts that the elements that are consistent from one word to another will have consistent meaning. So if this means pila, that means it must mean, and it means child, it must mean child here. Okay, so that makes it a whole lot easier, because then we can just say, well, there's this extra lu bit that must add some information, and then we look at the difference between the meaning. Right here it's singular and here it's plural, right? So lu must be plural. So we can start to write a rule. Let me write it over here onto the side. Something like pila plus lu, and then that equals the plural, right? We get plural children. Okay, so then we look at the next piece of data. We have chima, which is ant, right? And we have chimalu, which we see the same elements again, and we assume here that it means the same thing. So ant, and then we have the lu part. So we get the same thing over here. We get, we can write Chima plus Lu, and that's how we form the plural. Okay, so then we can do the same thing. I'm going to kind of skip the other ones for just a second, but we'll jump up to the flower here, puwu, right? And then we look for the same elements, puwu, in the next word, puwu. So that must mean the same thing. So we can say also puwu plus lu is how you do the plural. Okay, now the other words down here, they don't have pairs. So we just have this word that means sponge gourds, which is plural, and we have this word that means elephant, which is singular, and this word that means sari, which is singular, and elder brother, which is also singular. This goes down to the next question. What are the Telugu translations for the following words likely to be? So, if you look at one of them, sponge gourd, this is in singular, and we only have it in plural. So it would be nice if the same elements mean the same thing. So we saw over here that every time we added lu, it indicated plural. And we have lu in this word. So that must mean this is a plural marker, that we could mark something like this. Sorry, I moved that down a little. Let's keep going. Oops. Turai plus lu equals a plural. Okay, and that's how we get sponge gourds. What that tells us is we can now answer this, what are the Telugu translations for the following English words likely to be? We can say, well, look, we already know, right? It's turai, right? And then we can go to elephant, right? We already know how to, we can make a generalization about how to make the plural now, right? And these other ones are not in plural, and we need to make them plural. So let's go back to number 2. Describe the rule that allows speakers to express the plural of a noun in Telugu. We can write a simple rule to make the plural. Add the suffix lu to a noun. Okay. And probably most likely to a singular noun, right? So we couldn't apply it also to a plural noun to make it a plural. That would make no sense, right? So now we've got this. This here is the answer to problem number 2, right? Write a rule. There are other ways, more formal ways to write morphological rules, and we'll talk about those another time. But writing them in prose and just making a sentence explaining how to answer the question is perfectly okay, and sometimes it's the only option. Now let's go back to 3. We started doing that here with the analysis of sponge gourds, where we automatically said that lu must be plural, and so we can answer sponge gourd must mean, hold on, let me move that around, turai, right? Now if we look at elephant, we already made a rule that if we want to make the plural, add lu. Well, we want to make the plural of elephant, so we just have to add the plural marker, the suffix lu. So we just say go, du, gu, lu. And that's elephants. The same thing with sari, right? So we can say, well, singular sari is chide, and if I want to make it a plural, I just add lu. Okay? And elder brothers, the same thing. We can just add lu to it. Let me. There we go. So now we've been able to do all the problems. So all the questions. We were able to figure out what the plural rule is, how to make a plural over here, and then we were able to use that idea to actually do an analysis. Even though I don't speak Telugu, and maybe you don't speak Telugu, but you were able to analyze the language by considering the elements that are visible in this language. If you like this, please consider looking at the courses on language structure in the courses section of languageconservation.org. If you want to see something particular demonstrated, please let me know. I'll be happy to work with you.